On Facebook.
Oh, my friend Michelle's here too.
Hi,
These girls I grew up
Michelle.
with.
Zoom out so you can see my whole forehead too.
Does it
That
look like
might be
I'm?
nice.
Hi, Sari. Does it look like I'm in the shadows? Because it kind of feels like I am. Okay.
You know, we're trying to be very technical during this Mercury retrograde. So I feel
You're being silly.
we
See? See?
Sorry, I
Okay.
talked that one up for us. That was
All
my
right.
bad.
That was all me. And Mercury in retrograde.
And Mercury.
All right. Thanks
All
for
right.
bearing with us, friends.
Yes, we're gonna be just fine. I'm gonna move stuff out of my way here. Oh my gosh. And we're gonna start officially.
Come on, man. Don't make me hold this.
Oh, here
Don't make me hold this.
All right. I think we're live over here. So are we doing it? Okay.
I'm holding it. I'm holding it up right now, Mel.
Then I can't see you on Facebook. Okay. This is the wisdom and the woo that is happening today. The wisdom is that technology does what it wants to do when it wants to do it. And the woo is just showing up through the crazy. And that's what we're doing today.
That's what we're doing. I think I may not be onto something. Don't mind me. I'm here just setting this bad boy up. I think I got that.
Okay. Are we doing it? I'm going to just start talking. And,
just start talking, baby.
And we're going to get our shit together, y'all. Don't even pay us any attention. I'm going to just hope that we are streaming on the Facebook platform and all the other things. If not, you know what? I mean,
okay.
Such is life. Such is life. So I will start by welcoming everyone. Hello. Welcome to Wisdom and Woo. As you can see, I have a very special guest with me, KJ Nasrul, who I will give a formal introduction to in just a moment. And we are going to be talking about this very heavy, but good, necessary energy that we're having right now with this full moon in Scorpio. And we also are in Mercury retrograde, and we are also, last evening was the total lunar eclipse, which, I mean, why not? Why not just layer a couple of more things on there? But I can't talk about Scorpio energy and not think about my good friend KJ here, who has 6 planets in Scorpio. All of her inner planets are in Scorpio. And so I can't think of Scorpio and not think about you, lovely KJ. Say hello. Say hello to everyone. We're everywhere. We're doing things everywhere.
Hi.
Welcome.
Yeah, I actually didn't realize. I'd said to you, I think everything's in Libra, as obviously and you're like, girl, you have 6 planets, you have 6 houses. What is the actual terminology of it? 6.
So you have 6 planets in Scorpio, and at least 5 of those are in your first house. So we can talk a little bit more about that as well.
Okay.
But
up front, first house represented.
Yeah. Right.
Okay. So hi. My name is Kimberly Jane. Folks know me as KJ. And yes, my friend Mel says to me, let's do some wisdom and woo, and let's talk about the Scorpio happening right now. And so I said, heck yeah. And unbeknownst to both of us, we've had the nuttiest days. And so we are just trying to come together and talk a little bit about this, but we're going to do it.
We're going to do it because we're freaking amazing. And you know, sometimes just getting out the bed is all you can do. And then some days, you know, you just fight through. But again, it's this energy, right, that we're in right now. And so that's not an excuse. That's a reality check,
That's
right?
right.
That you can be as prepared as you want to be for things, you can be as ready as you want to be for things, but the universe is going to do what it wants to do, and you just get to show up and go along for the ride. So, um, let me give KJ's official intro, because the beautiful thing about today is this is our first crossover episode. So I feel like a Law and Order show, right, with all the crossover episodes.
Dun, dun.
And so we are going to be talking kind of this first half about wisdom and woo stuff and full moon and Scorpio and what you need to know and do about that. And then, because KJ has her beautiful show that normally would start right after this, I said, why not do this crossover? So then she's going to lead our conversation as we do the crossover. So I'll give you a little formal intro for all my folks who don't know who you are, which they should, because I mean, we do all this
Well,
stuff together, but I will be official. So, KJ, let me move this over here so I can read it, is the owner of Bliss Begins Within. That's just beautiful to even just hear, like, just process and sit in that for a moment. Um, Kimberly KJ Nasrul is a licensed psychotherapist and musician with an obsession with words. That is the truth. And a gift for making grilled cheese sandwiches. I mean,
also true.
yay. I also have that gift. We shared that. We'll
Yes.
have to test that out one day.
Yes, yes, yes.
She helps healers and essential frontline workers recover their resilient stories via expressive arts, such as music, art, journaling, and compassionate conversations to prevent burnout so that they can continue to uplift and heal their communities. When she's not planning her next traveling adventure, KJ can be found on her podcast stories of Astonishing Light, also so cute, jamming with musicians, artists, and trailblazers about creativity for mental wellness. She's a psychological first aid responder with the Red Cross and a quality improvement specialist in health privacy. I feel like you don't do that last part anymore, right? Or do you
That
still
is
do
what I
that?
walked away from.
Yes. So we'll take that out of all your other bio stuff. So,
Okay.
and as I mentioned, she's also the host on Mondays for her musings
So it's Mondays with
Mondays
the Muse. Yeah.
Mondays with the Muse. Sorry,
On
I'm skipping
musings on
ahead.
other. Yeah, I know. All the
Live
musings.
on Mondays, all the musings. And so welcome again. That was the official intro there. So
Thank
welcome again, my
you.
love.
Yes, thanks for having me, my dear. I'm so happy to hang out with you.
Yes, yes. And so, like I said, KJ has 6 planets in Scorpio. And so, what I normally like to do is talk a little bit about kind of what I think about Scorpio energy in case people don't really know much about Scorpio. And then you just kind of tell me as we go through, like, yes, yep, I hear that. And anything I'm missing that you feel like you need to fill in the blanks about, you can do that as well. So, I'll start with when I think about Scorpio, the first thing that pops into my head is like deep water, like deep emotional connections, intuition. Again, that when you think about going deeply inside within this deep intuition, um, really like everything deep, right? Deep intensity, deep sexual energy, right? And then the big, I can't go too far with this in case our good friend Ish is watching and not mention Pluto. This idea of change and transformation is really central um, for Scorpio energy, because Pluto is the planet that rules Scorpio, and that is all about change and transformation. And then some of the trickier pieces that go along with having such deep, intense emotional energy all the time is there's almost always also a very deep connection to trauma, right?
Mm,
Whether it is, your own, or whether it is other
mm,
people's trauma, and this kind of draw um, to crises, right, and to drama.
Mm.
sometimes intentionally, but usually just very naturally. It happens that way. And it's, I think partly because you all are um, the therapists of the
Mm.
signs, right? I mean, you literally are the therapist, but Scorpio is really the therapist of the signs. And because there is this deep desire to understand like people's emotions and what they're going through.
Mhm.
So tell me if any of that doesn't resonate with you, or if there's something that I'm missing there.
No, if anything, it was more even in depth and layered and connected than I'd even realized. When you'd started mentioning the being compelled and drawn towards trauma,
Mhm.
yeah, that is so very, accurate. So, no, everything you said lands. It lands
Yeah,
right with me. Yeah.
yeah. And so the interesting thing about the full moon, so full moons are that point in time where the moon and the sun are opposite each other, right? That's what makes the full moon. And because of that, because you are taking in both signs, you have Scorpio energy and we're currently in Taurus, right? They're always opposite one another. And so there's this interesting balance that always happens at the full moon. And so I'll start by saying full moons are they are this the illumination. They're shining a light on what's happening, right?
Mm,
Because the literally the moon is as bright as it's going to be. It's at its peak energy. And so you're really coming to this point of completion, right? The things that
mm,
you've been working on, maybe at the new moon, you set your intentions and you've been working on those things for 2 weeks. And so now it's like this culmination and all this energy, which again, like Scorpio, 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 but it's like it comes to this kind of crescendo. And so that's why normally at the full moon, we really focus on releasing things, right?
mm,
Because you've hit the apex and now you
mm,
have to prepare for what's coming, right?
right.
And I think the interesting thing for me about Scorpio specifically when it comes to full moon is that Scorpio is I think of it as that apex, right?
Mm,
That intense energy that happens. That's like the natural Scorpio state, right? And so
yeah,
what's really important at this full moon is to think about releasing the parts of that Scorpio energy that is a little tricky, right? That is
right.
a little harder um, as we move forward. What are your thoughts on that? I see you giggling. So
Just because some of the buzzwords, I was just like, "Oh, yeah, that sounds about right." The intensity and the way that I've experienced life and from what people have said back to me, the feedback they've gotten back to me is that it's like, um, go big or go home. I'm always
Mhm.
just like 100%. I can't be halfway. So if
Mhm.
I'm in it to win it, and I'm in it 100% no matter what the primary emotion is or mood is. So
Mhm.
if I'm going to be contemplative and thoughtful, then I'm 100% going to be contemplative and thoughtful. Or if I'm going to
Right.
be like emotional and weepy, then I'm going to be 100% emotional and weepy. So there
Yeah.
isn't an in between. And so that's what the giggle was about, which was like, yeah, that sounds about right. That sounds
Y
about right. Just
yeah.
kind of showing up, and I'm going to meet you where you are, but I'm not going to I won't be dishonest about it. I'm just gonna
Mhm.
show up
Mm.
100% as it is, congruent. It's not gonna be I don't have the energy to try and hide.
Yes. Yeah, that
So,
that is a very Scorpio trait. And, when we started this, so I mentioned that you specifically have, again, I think at least 5 of your 6 Scorpio planets are in the first house, which
the
the
first
first
house.
house is you, right? It's you at your core before anything else,
Mm,
right? So if you think about, and everyone watching, if you think about all the things that, I kind of mentioned about Scorpio.
mhm,
Now, pull that all together, concentrate that all together to in like a baby, right? Like before the outside has influence, right? Where the focus is really on just knowing who you are, right? That's that first house, Aries, that first house energy is it's all about me and
Mm.
understanding, learning who I am. Now take all the Scorpio energy and shove it in there, right? So that deep intensity for you, and you tell me if this resonates, is super concentrated on you figuring out your own shit, right?
Mm,
Like who you are. Yes, you do it for other people, literally and professionally, but I feel like there can be like this burden because there's such intensity on all of that deep thinking and emotion, all the deep everything is so concentrated on you, like this
mm,
pressure for you to figure that shit out for you.
hmm, hmm. I feel like this might be the first time we've actually named it and articulated that pressure that's been felt.
Mhm.
Um, hmm. I've absolutely been driven by the work that I do, whether it's with Red Cross, whether it's even in compliance and privacy, that the only way that I can truly represent and be helpful is to model
Mhm.
authenticity,
Mhm.
um, to model how as a human and not as any other title, but just as a human person, a human being, um, uh, true and congruent reactions. And
Mhm.
so if something startles me or something seems really off or something is not making sense to me, you will see me trying to work that out, what it
Mhm.
is that I'm confused about. Um, and it's again, a big piece of it is yes, so that I can figure out my own shit, but also so I can help you figure out yours. Like,
Mhm.
I feel like for me to be in service to you, it's to show up in congruence and it's to
Mhm.
show up just authentically, how I am supposed to be. So if you have some fears or doubts or some questions or curiosities, I can meet you in that genuine place of,
Mhm.
you know what, that seems completely reasonable to me that that you're confused about or you have some questions about or that you're startled by. Maybe there's some fears and anxiety around something, and so if I can understand a little bit about what it's like to sit in that anxiety or uncertainty, then I feel like I can help you better as well. I'm in better
Mhm.
service to you.
Mhm.
So thank you. I really hadn't held it in that way and perceived it in that way as where am I figuring things out here so that I can
Mhm.
I can be a best
Mhm.
service to you. Um, but yeah, well, that's interesting.
So what's making me chuckle right now is
I'm
that
sure for
very
you.
Scorpio response to talking about you, right?
Yeah.
And how you are processing, right? Because you have this concentration on you,
Mm,
that there is this also like deep rationalization of like not wanting it to be about you, right? Because Scorpio is very much also about like relationships, the relationship to
yeah,
other,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
especially being in service to, right? And so when I say to you, very Scorpio, that it starts with this like burning desire to need to know who you are,
Mm,
your response to that is like, well, yes, because I need to be able to help people, and
mm,
for me to help people, then that's the reason that I am going to focus on me, right? And
mm,
so that was an interesting, like, I know that about you, but that was an interesting awareness to hear you say that, and I think too, again, right, like, this energy, and this goes to everybody, not just people who have 6 planets in Scorpio, but when you think about connecting to yourself, right? What that needs to look like, and we're gonna talk about that a little bit, as we talk about what to do with this, right? That's the point of this show, is like to think about, well, what's happening energetically and what can we do about it, right? So
mhm.
when we think about the energy where, the moon right now is in Scorpio, but the sun is in Taurus, the opposite sign. So the
Okay.
moon is our emotional body, right? And so if you think about all of, KJ's energy, right, and the way that she may process things, this full moon is about releasing, right? Because we're shining a light on the things that are have been coming to a head, right? Things that are happening in our lives,
Mm.
and this added this bonus, if you will, of having well, I'm not going to say Mercury retrograde is a bonus right now. It's not
No.
necessarily a hindrance any more than having this total lunar eclipse yesterday. The eclipse, I'll just add in, is like a huge, talk about deep intensity. the
Mm.
the lunar eclipse, a total lunar eclipse, is like, instead of just this energy just being around now, this energy is going to be here for a long time. The
Oh.
lesson of this full moon in Scorpio, this work, your need to do this is going to need to be a part of your life for all of us
Mm.
for a very long time.
Mm.
I mean, years, but
Okay, I
at
was gonna
least
say, what
right
does that
now.
mean?
Yeah, I mean, and I won't get into all the north nodes and the south nodes and the fact that this lunar eclipse happened because it's close to the south node, but just know that any eclipse that there is brings added intensity. But when you have this particular total lunar eclipse in Scorpio, because of its placement, because of where other planets are right now, this life lesson is something that for all of us, but especially the more Taurus and or Scorpio you are, is something that is kind of like your job now. Right. Like when these ladies say something when we get together for our podcast, and
Yeah,
someone's like, oh, we should try this thing, I say, okay, and that's your job now. Right.
got it.
So as we think about shining a light on what's happening, shining a light on Scorpio energy, all the things that we talked about, right? Um, what needs to happen, the release that needs to happen, has to start with almost the opposite of Scorpio energy, right?
Mhm.
Especially right now while we're in Taurus energy, right? Because all the things we said about Scorpio, Taurus is like the opposite, right? Taurus
Okay.
isn't about deep emotion. It isn't about like understanding everyone's, concerns in order to help them. Taurus energy is as the second sign, is very much about, what do I need to feel comfortable, right? How can I slow down? How can I make things easy and simple and, soft, and, instead of like sexual energy, Taurus is like sensual energy,
Oh,
right? There is, eh, again, almost kind of the opposite, right? Because they are polar opposites on the scale. So if we're thinking about what to do for this full moon, again, regardless of what sign you are, I want everyone to think about, instead of spending all of this energy on these deep emotions, on getting deeper into relationships and things like that, this is going to be a time for us to slow down a little bit, right? And not just jump into situations, right? So instead of like drowning in these emotions that are either yours or other people, think about releasing the emotions that you've been drowning in, either yours or from other people, right? Now is a time to think about releasing the intensity around, like, when we talk about change and transformation, right?
yeah.
Instead of trying to change everything and, oh, how can I change this about myself? Or maybe at work, I'm a huge culprit of this, right? Changing my copy, changing content. Maybe I can do this a little bit different, or that a little bit different, or I can create this new thing. That's very Scorpio energy. What needs to happen, this release of Taurus energy, is like, no, you are amazing right now. The things that you already know, the things that you're already doing are perfect. How can you spend time on more of that,
Oh,
right? How can we simplify Taurus energy? How can we simplify the shit we're already good at,
Right.
right?
Right.
Instead of recreating everything,
Mm.
right?
Oh,
You
so
know,
timely.
yeah, instead
So
of
timely.
thinking of, you know, again, instead of like recreating yourself over and over and over again. And I think all of us have been in this kind of in this hamster wheel of that because, you know, we've come out of lockdown and it's like, oh, I get to be this new version and who do I want to be? And but really we learned so much about who we were in lockdown, right? So take a minute to focus on that. What did you learn? And how can we grow that a little bit more?
Yeah.
You know, how does that feel for you?
All of it feels 100% accurate, my girl. Of course. I was just laughing. You and I've spoken about this. We talked about this with our MC sisters in the last couple of weeks about how timely this is, this message of you already know.
Mm-hmm.
You already know what to do. You already have the information. You already have done the work,
Mm-hmm.
actually. And then some of it isn't even that active. Like we are.
It's
Um,
like, yes, it's true.
yeah, Pamela's like, yes. We already know. We already know what to do. And so to ask ourselves, it's to give this grace of you don't need to keep reaching. You don't need to keep
Mm-hmm.
reaching for more.
Yeah.
You gave the example of like, well, I think it's time to revamp my website and my copy and
Mm-hmm.
all of my programs,
Mm-hmm.
and I need to figure out what my newest offer is.
Mm-hmm.
And same here. There was about a 10-day period where I was just like, okay, so I'm going to be enrolled in 5 courses. I'm going to be doing like a live every single day. I'm
Yeah.
going to be telling people about the 8 different things that I have to offer. But this was all stuff that I already had going on, and people who have known me and known us in our community already
Yeah.
knew that we had these gifts
Right.
to make available. And so for me to say, wait a second, I don't have to enroll in another course or
Mm-hmm.
another training. I have a lot of information, I have a lot of knowledge.
Right.
And then there's the receivership of that. The
Mm.
receivership and the also the acceptance that we already have this information and that we are more than enough. We are more than enough. We don't
Right.
need more to define that we're okay or
Right.
successful, or these are already terms that have been long written in place.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
yeah, so just I don't know. I'm just saying yes, yes as you're moving through
Right.
everything.
Yeah, and then, you know, even and to go back again to think about like the Scorpio traits that we talked about, you know, thinking about relationships, right?
Yeah.
So, and you know, this is not just, I mean, it includes certainly intimate partners, but it's any relationships, right? Thinking about, yet instead of, you know, maybe you meet someone and you're like, oh, I got to get in and deep and know all about you and how can I fix you and how can I help you be better? And instead of doing that at this time, right? Again, slow down, kind of stop yourself
Mm,
and think about, instead of
slow.
me doing that, right? How can I make sure that I'm, instead of giving my energy to everyone who might need my help, right? I might need to fix, how can I start just connecting with people who share my values, right?
Mm.
Who are striving for some similar things that I am, who can support me for a change instead of me needing to support them,
What did you just
right?
say?
You right? Right. And I think you know, again, you're the perfect person here because you're both a Scorpio and a therapist. This
Mm,
idea of, so many of us get caught up in, again, this like savior complex, or how can I, you know, I want to just help people, I just want to, you know, my partner or my friends, like they need my help, and so I'm so tired because I'm always helping people, and I mean I
mm,
love it, it's me, but the reality is you don't have to do that,
right.
and it may literally be harming you to do that, right? And so this full moon, especially this total lunar eclipse in Scorpio, is saying you have to stop it. You
Mhm.
have to stop, and you have to start with you. You have to start
Mm,
with, what do you need, taking the time to knowing what that is, and then you can move on to something else.
So a couple things in response to that.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if now is a perfect opportunity for us to say that we're going to switch over
Yeah.
to my IG to
Yeah.
continue this conversation, because I want to continue this. This is
Yeah.
important.
Yeah.
But also to introduce folks, the different audiences, to the crossover
Yes.
that's
Yes.
happening.
Let's do some musing.
Let's do some
Yes.
musings about what was just said in wisdom and
Right.
woo. So
Yes.
we're musing about wise musing about woo.
Right. I love it.
So bear with me, but please let's keep kind of
Yeah. Yeah.
jamming. And what I'm going to do is, well, actually, I think what you'll do then is end your IG,
Okay.
and then I'll go live and say we're picking up, and I'll ask you
Gotcha.
to join.
Okay.
So hang
Yes.
tight, folks, while we're just doing a
Yes.
little
So
switch
we'll
over
stay
on
live
Instagram.
on all the Facebook
Yes,
things and whatever, but just on IG, we're going to switch out.
we're going to switch
So,
out.
okay.
Okay.
We'll
So
do
I
that.
will see you all over on at Musings on Other, and we'll just
Yes.
continue this.
Here
Thanks,
we go.
loves. Here we go.
Yay.
Okay, here we go. Look at me go.
Look at us doing it.
We're doing this. And it says thanks for joining as I joined your live video. And how did that feel for you to be on IG
Oh,
live?
that was wonderful. Do I need to make a new post? I don't know what's happening here. Okay, I just came out. It was good. Yes, I don't go live nearly as often as I would like to. So,
I get that, friend.
yeah.
You know I get that. I'm doing it more and more, and I'm trying to
Yes.
get used to it, but so I'm going to go live. I just want to put my filter
Yes.
on. It's got to be the right filter before we
Yes.
go live, friends. Like this
Mhm.
blue-eyed, ooh, I have angel wings. I don't know if that's appropriate for
Oh,
this conversation. Let's
I
go.
mean, it can be.
It could
Whatever
be.
feels good to you is what's appropriate. And yes,
Mhm.
so all the folks watching over on Facebook or in any of our groups, yeah, I mean, this is really, I mean, there's always such good crossover, and I think
I think
this
so.
always a really important lesson for us to think about doing more collaboration with people, right? So
Yes.
anyone watching this, putting yourself out there, right?
Mm,
Even if you think about it in this context of full moon in Scorpio is, yes, there is need for collaboration, but collaboration with people who align with what you're trying to do, right? Not having to do it all alone and not having to do it with people who like you're pulling along, right? That you have to drag somebody with you, you know?
yeah.
Um,
Well, you and I loved your last email that you had sent out, your last newsletter, Mel, where you
Thank
had said
you.
exactly that, which is
Yeah.
where like this is unusual for me. I don't want this idea that it's self-promotion and almost a little like
Mhm.
to speak a little bit about what you are presently doing.
Yeah.
And so to reach out to a friend and a collaborator and say, let's try this together, it
Yeah.
doesn't have to feel so skivvy and
No,
salesy or something like that.
absolutely not,
So,
no. Yes.
all right. So I'm going live now on Instagram. It's letting
Okay,
folks know that I
perfect.
am. So if you can find my circle,
Mhm, I see. Here's let me refresh.
it says,
Oh, there
so
you
folks,
are.
if you are
Okay.
curious, I'm over at Musings on Other on Instagram. And oh, there she is. I'm going to wave and
Right.
ask you to join. View request.
Mhm.
Go live. Here we go. So Mel and I are now going live on just this end, but we're going to continue the conversation because I think it is relevant. And this, again, is to our point about collaboration.
Oh, I gave you the back camera. How cute is that?
Oh, hi. There
Gave
she
you a little
is.
behind the scenes there.
Yes. Hi, gorgeous friend.
Hello, again.
So, and Sari came over here. So she was on yours and now
Oh,
she's joined
yay.
mine. Hi, she
Awesome, awesome,
soft mess.
awesome.
That's my friend Sarah. She is my childhood next door neighbor, one of my dear friends from
Oh,
my
lovely.
childhood. So,
Lovely. I
yes.
think
Hi,
I've
love.
heard I think I've heard about you.
It's possible. It's
Mhm.
possible. So, All right. Hi, there she is again. Hi, friend. So, okay, we're continuing this conversation. Everybody, thank you so much for joining and moving along with Mel and I as we are musing on wisdom and woo today on Mondays. And we were literally just talking about the collaborations that can occur that would make it so that it doesn't feel like this skivvy, salesy self-promotion, but actually just a celebration and a conversation of friends
Right.
doing this work, being in service, helping each other's audiences and clients also realize that there are ways that we can really come at this in a holistic, open manner. Um, in the counseling world, we sometimes call this wrapping around. And so this is us
Okay.
wrapping around and
Yeah.
holistically saying, these are different ways in which we could help you solve a problem, or feel better at the very basic place. And
Mhm.
so that's what we're sort of talking about. And Mel was beautifully articulating, oh gosh, how do we explain all of this? Well, what we started with was the fact that it is full moon in Scorpio
Mhm.
right now, right now, friends. And so, what
Today.
does that mean? How is it that we can not diffuse, but integrate and lean in and sway with the intensity, the
Yeah.
energy of the Scorpio intensity, um, and to soften, almost utilizing the opposite, which is Taurus. So
Mhm.
is it moon in Taurus? Is that what we're saying?
No,
Or
so the full moon itself is in Scorpio, so the moon is placed in Scorpio, living in Scorpio right now, the Scorpio
got it.
energy of our emotions, and the sun is in Taurus, the opposite sign, and that's what makes that full moon.
Got it.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay. Thank you for
Mhm.
filling in where I'm bumbling around. I just wanted to make a note that my friend Sarah put the word nachos in the chat. And actually in the introduction that Mel had given me on her live was that I really do. I have a fascination and a gift for melting cheese. So that also applies. So it's grilled cheese and nachos.
Oh, okay, I
So
didn't know it was all cheeses. I thought
yeah,
it was just
I think it
specific
is.
to
I
grilled
think it's
cheese, so
about
good to know. Okay,
I think
good
it's
to
about
know.
all melting cheese. So
Love
thanks,
it.
Sari. You got it, girl. But why don't we take a pause real quick to introduce folks to you, my dear friend,
Hey,
Mel.
everybody.
Yes, thank you so much for inviting me into this crossover event. I know it's going
Yeah,
to be the first of many. We have
yeah,
already been working together now for more than a year in our fun collaborations
yeah.
and women tribe that we've put together.
Yes, yes, it's been so
So
wonderful.
it has been. So I'm wondering, my friend, if you
Mhm.
wouldn't mind sharing a little bit about what normally Wisdom and Woo has for us. And do you
Sure.
typically do it on Mondays, or is it?
Well,
Yeah.
I have moved it now to, because I'm only doing it twice a month, I've moved it to, like, new moon, full moon,
Oh, perfect.
so the day kind of follows,
Yes.
the astrological calendar a little bit.
Yes.
But yeah, so hey, everybody, I am, Mel Morris. I am the owner and chief magic officer for WTF with Mel. And
Yeah.
so I offer training, tarot advising, and speaking around helping people really connect to finding what their unique magic is. So that
Mhm.
they can grow themselves, grow their business, grow their relationships, and, I just it sounds very Scorpio energy right now, but I really also I'm also a water sign. I'm mostly Cancer water energy. So,
Mm.
we're just all emotion. All emotion is what you get with us. Um, and so I also, kind of work in this sphere of helping people with that connection, right? Getting through some of the emotional baggage that we carry around that's not even just ours. But normally the wisdom and woo that that happens again twice a month, is just kind of giving some advice around this is the energy that is around
Mm,
all of us right now.
mhm.
No matter, what you connect with, this is where the sun is, this is where the moon is, this is the energy that it's creating, and what can we do with it, right? How can we understand that energy a little bit more so that we can make good choices right now? We can use that energy to our benefit.
Make
So,
good choices, friends.
yeah,
Make good
yeah,
choices.
yeah.
Amazing. When you speak, my dear
Mhm.
friend, yes, I perhaps am a little biased, but when you speak, I listen. I
Oh,
feel like I learn so much and can take away so much wisdom and woo
thank you.
whenever you share your knowledge, and you have a wealth and a breadth of knowledge. And so I'd love to continue where the thread that we were following right now from your portion to mine, and make it a whole big yummy smorgasbord. But I'll just insert this little piece that moves along with musings, and Mondays with the Muse, which is what I typically do right now. And that's where we ask a little bit about how it is that we can work with the inspiration that's given to us. What can
Mhm,
we do to step into our creative power? And how is it that we can be compassionate, so that we can be well and show up as congruent creative selves in the world that is our birthright.
mhm.
And so it's very there's an overlap for sure
Absolutely.
between what your world is, what my world is. And
Mhm.
so I'll just pepper our I'll continue. I'd like to continue our conversation, but I'll pepper it with this little piece of
Please do.
how, my love, how do you notice with the full moon in Scorpio?
Mhm.
How do you notice its impact on your creativity
Mm.
or interest in creativity? Do you notice if there's any shift of energy in what you're interested in or what you'd like to pursue?
At this particular full moon or in
Yes.
general?
At this particular time, but then maybe, yeah, widen out to how generally you can be or would be.
Yeah, well, for me, it's funny. So many people focus, a lot. I mean, obviously, right now we're focusing on the full moon because that's what it is today. But always a huge focus on the full moon, and I do spend a lot of time thinking about releasing. And normally, that from a creative perspective, that's normally for me either trying to release the blocks that I put up
Yeah,
myself, self-imposed
yeah.
completely, to being creative, being what I think of as creative. And KJ and I often talk about this,
Mhm.
that I
I'm
have a
already
difficult
preparing.
time sometimes thinking about myself in creative terms.
Yes.
But I definitely do feel, and especially with this Scorpio energy, and again, this eclipse that happened last night,
Mhm.
I can feel the need to release this weight, right? This weight that, I feel like I'm always kind of working on releasing things, but I definitely since yesterday have felt like this need to purge, all
Mm.
of these little pieces that I thought I had done a better job maybe at getting rid of, but there's this, if I think about this illumination that we talked about, but I definitely can now see like this very bright light shining on these little areas where it's like, "Oh, but you didn't actually do this. Oh,
Mm.
but you said you were gonna do this, but that's not really what happened. You haven't quite gotten there yet." Um, and so, yeah, I think definitely I have felt, since this weekend leading up to this particular full moon, some of these things that I have drawn myself into, right? That Scorpio drawing, being drawn to drama and crises, even if it's me creating it myself. Um, I have felt
Ooh,
I have felt that need to like cut it out because
stop
you've
it.
got things to do because you're freaking
Yes.
amazing and you are avoiding focusing on that by doing these other things. So, Yeah.
Yes. Is there anything in particular that surprised you about what you felt ready to release or ready to dive a little deeper into?
I don't know that I don't know that I'd say surprise. Again, I feel like initially maybe a little disappointment that I thought like, oh, I'd already moved past like this emotion or this feeling or this whatever. So seeing that like, nope, it's still there. Nope, you're still doing it is I mean, it's a little disappointing,
Mm,
but I think also because I know that it has been a process. I know that it's a thing
right.
that I isn't gonna be solved overnight, right? It's a lifetime. It's a multiple lifetimes, generationally, work that is being processed through. I also can give myself the grace to be like, "Okay, well, all right, you're not as far as long as you thought, but okay, well, now you know. Now you know that
Mm,
that that much more of your awesomeness needs to show up." So,
mhm,
yeah.
mhm. Is because right now we're illuminating this Scorpio energy, and in my
Mhm.
particular case, what, 5 out of 6 of my yeah, 5 out of 6 of my planets are in my
First
initial
house.
first
Yes.
house.
Mhm. Mhm.
Is it more intensively noticed that there are blocks and reservations, or is it that we've been given sort of the illumination? We've been given the invitation to observe. There actually has always been this level of intensity, but we're just
Mhm.
now noticing it. Do
Yeah.
you
Yes, it's that. So,
Okay.
um, uh, especially for you, I mean, all of this is gonna be much more intensified for you, particularly because you have so much Scorpio energy. Yeah,
Okay.
KJ has 6 planets in Scorpio, and, we mentioned in the other half that 5 of those are in her 1st house. So, for
What?
KJ in particular, that intensity that comes with Scorpio energy is like concentrated to really focus on her, right, in that first house.
Got it.
And so for all of us, yes, the illumination is all the traits that have kind of been that may weigh on us, that are kind of related to Scorpio energy. We talked about um, again, this kind of pull towards drama, pull towards helping, feeling
Mm,
a necessity
mm,
to help everyone, right? But
mhm.
always focusing on the other, always focusing on how can I go deeper with this person that I just met on the bus? Or, it isn't just like relationships, it's everybody, right?
Okay.
Um,
Woof,
so
watch
shining
out.
a light on the fact that like how much of your energy are you using on this
Mm,
stuff,
mhm,
right?
mhm.
And for all of us, it's no matter how much work we've done personally, again, it's never going to be done. So
Right.
this really is an opportunity to just kind of say like, just to be clear, don't fool yourself. It's not done, but
Okay.
you really need to start working on the opposite piece, right? This Taurus support, right? If you're like, well, how do I do this? Think about Taurus energy, right? This
Okay.
energy that we're in, the sun is in, we're still in Taurus right now, and the opposite of Scorpio energy. So, this connection
Taking
to
notes.
comfort, stability, slowing down, grounding yourself versus like the deep ocean water that I think of when I think about Scorpio. Taurus is like solid ground.
Ooh, that's helpful for me.
Yeah.
Okay. What would you say is for you solid ground?
You
What's the
know,
grounding? Yeah.
yeah,
What is it for you?
and I feel like that because I have 5 planets in Cancer.
Mm.
So, the water is again, when I say that we're just water. Um,
Oh, water.
so
We're
it's tough
flooding.
for me too, but the grounding is connecting that emotional energy for me from all that Cancer is connecting that to something real, right? I spent a good portion of my life thinking that being very emotional was a problem that I
Mm.
needed to medicate myself for,
Mhm.
right? And
Mhm.
when I finally connected my emotion and the realization that no, there isn't anything wrong with this emotion, right? You got to let yourself process through it, good, bad, or otherwise. That was the grounding piece, right? So it doesn't feel like solid earth, right, when I describe it, but it's putting those emotions somewhere that I know, oh, I'm emotional right now because I'm helping this person through their thing, right? Or because I'm so, joyful about this transition happening in my life, or, being able to really have an anchor for each of these emotions that I walk through throughout the day. That to me is really being grounded. And it takes a little bit of time because emotions come in and you're like, oh crap, where'd this come from? Right. But being able to anchor it to things is really helpful for me. And same thing with this full moon energy, knowing that I haven't maybe gotten as far as I thought, or seeing more of the nooks and crannies of what still needs to happen, being able to connect, how I feel about that to something very specific is really the grounding for me.
Mm. Do you find that difficult to do? To find your anchors, to find the
Yeah,
grounding piece?
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't even pretend to make up a story about how it's so easy now that I'm so connected
I'm
to
so
my
glad you're
woo.
connected.
No,
Yeah.
it's hard. It's always, you know, especially when you're thinking about emotional energy,
Yeah.
for anybody out there who, feels very emotional, feels disconnected to their emotion, right? Because I see a lot of people who are kind of the flip to that. It's not meant to be easy, right? We've been told that lie that like you can just figure this out, or you just talk to a therapist a couple of times in life, you'll figure it out. You won't, right? The emotional stuff is not ever really going to be easy, but you can stop being so hard on yourself.
I was going to say there's a little bit of an adjustment there that I would suggest, which is
Mhm.
it doesn't have to be so hard,
Mm-mm.
um, as well. I
Yeah.
feel like there's an extreme that we sway between,
Yes.
that it's
Absolutely.
either all or nothing. It's either got
Mhm.
to be the easiest thing ever and it's gonna happen like magic, and in
Mhm.
some ways, it can if you also say to yourself and let yourself rest in that it doesn't have to be so hard. It
Right.
does not have to be so hard.
Yeah.
We tend to make it a lot more complicated than it really is.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And I will
So
talk about things in terms of, like, connecting to, who you are, parts of who you are, in terms of, like, it being easy.
mhm.
And and to your point, when I say that, it really is more not making it so difficult, right? Not telling yourself, like, "If this doesn't feel like a cakewalk, then I must not be doing it right." No.
Right. Right, 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 right.
Because
Right.
if everything was just easy breezy all day, like, how boring would that be? And how would you and without that agitation, you're not gonna grow.
Well, exactly. Oh my gosh, so perfect that you said that because I was gonna say that what it could be is a reframe about all of it. It doesn't have to be hard, but what we also need to understand that sometimes the hard work is just in doing the, introspective work.
Mhm. That
In the
yes.
recognition of it, right? In the
Yes.
decision to be intentional about how you're going to, um, show up in the world, number 1, and be accountable for what you bring into each situation. I know that if I'm showing up in a conversation, say, like in our conversation right now, if I show up only half-assed, if I show
Mhm.
up not really here,
Mhm.
then in the long run, it actually makes it much harder.
Oh,
Much,
yeah.
much harder for us to maybe build towards what we're hoping to do with our collaboration, for an example.
Yeah.
But if I show up as honest as possible and even say to you like I did today, I was like, "Today was whack. Today was kinda stupid."
Right.
Right? I'm
Yeah.
struggling today, but I am so happy to be here with you in that space, knowing that we as humans and women can can struggle and it'll still be okay. And I think that also enhances our honest interactions with each other and our
Well, and again,
humanness.
that's where real relationship comes from,
Yeah,
right? Like you what kind of relationships are you creating with people if you're not showing up as all of you?
right,
Right? If you just always
right,
show up with a smile on your face and the world is perfect,
right,
that makes me feel like crap. Like, "Oh, well, she's got it together. I'm obviously doing something wrong," you know?
right.
And it's not, it's just not like I said, it's not authentic. Sorry, my kitty decided she had to be a part of what's happening here too. Um, but it's not it doesn't help it doesn't allow you to know that you have support from people, right?
Mhm,
And it doesn't allow other people to be of service to you, to
mhm,
themselves, or to grow. So,
mhm.
to me, there's no benefit in not showing up completely, authentically.
100%. And I
Yeah.
also notice, especially, I mean, it's easy. There's that ease again, but there is
Mhm.
ease about like when you and Ish and Jocelyn and I get together, we're all coming from some perspective, struggling places, perhaps
Mhm.
in our lives or wherever, whatever our day has presented to us. But when we connect with each other and we're honest about like, hey, this is how and where I am right now. Have you noticed how we just lift, lift, lift,
Oh,
and how
yeah.
easy it is to lift, right?
Absolutely, absolutely.
So,
But if you were never open to begin with, we would
that's right.
never get to that point,
Oh, that's right.
you know?
100%.
So, yeah,
100%.
yeah.
Oh, ah. Um, there's so much we could get into. Um, w Was there some more questions that you had around sharing with folks, or was there more that you were hoping to share with folks about how we can best anchor and hold in, as full moon is in Scorpio, as we are in this space? Is there any?
I would
um
just say, for folks who, didn't get a chance to watch kind of the first half of this here, the thing to walk away with, the thing to remember is that it may feel very intense, this energy right now
Yeah.
that's happening, but this you're being supported. The universe is supporting you. It's giving you this message and opportunity to know that right now you have it's crucial. It's crucial for you to let go of all of the heavier, deeper energies that have been slowing you down, keeping you blocked. You have the support right now, this Taurus energy, to slow down, right? To acknowledge what you actually want, what actually feels in alignment to you, and to
Mm,
build more of that, to stop yourself from focusing on the dramatics that either you are creating for yourself or allowing other people to kind of pull you into, and just say, no, I am looking for more ease. I'm looking for more comfort. I'm looking for what aligns with my values, with my core self. And that's what I'm going to focus on right now moving forward. That's the lesson to take from this full moon.
mm. Oh, it's so timely.
Yeah. Yeah, and
It's so
again, this is gonna be this need to make this shift isn't just these 2 weeks until we get to the new moon in Gemini at the end of the month. This need is going to be around for a very long time. So again, when I say even about myself, it's a process, right? It's something that I'm gonna keep for all of us. This isn't just, "I can get this done in 2 weeks." Don't put it on your calendar like, "Oh, 2 weeks from now, I'll have this all." No. This is like a huge message that take the time that you need to work through these things. Allow yourself, if you fall off track and, the light shines and you're like, "Oh, crap, I thought I did that already." Okay, you didn't, but now you know. Now let's do it. Yeah.
Mhm. Mm, so good. I feel like we could unpack that and take another couple hours, couple days.
Right.
Um, a big piece of it because of even when we're given the permission to and grace to slow down and take some
Mhm.
time to nurture and revisit and allow for some spaciousness, even when we
Mhm.
do take that, there can be that voice that's just like, "You shouldn't do that.
Right.
Let's speed this up." Like, or like you said, "You need to put a deadline on it. You need to wrap this up."
Mhm.
And then coming up and bumping up against those edges of the shoulds and,
Mhm.
um, and the stories that tell us that maybe we're not as good as, or we're not enough if we
Right.
don't meet these particular deadlines.
Right.
But my whole goal has always been to help folks understand that being self-compassionate, being creative, these are actually all forms of true wellness and true recovery was when
Mhm.
you is when you allow for the cycle to actually move through
Yes.
that rest and hibernation. We've even talked about like moving through fertilizer. You have to
Right.
move through, right? All
Yeah.
facets in order
Yeah.
to nurture, grow, and have your garden and have some replenishment, have some growth and expansion. There is actually a rest period. There is
Absolutely.
a hibernation period for seasons.
Mhm. Yeah.
Um, so there's a way that we, especially as women, can harness this compassion and this slow down mentality. We've talked about this. This is the feminine divine
Mhm.
to to slow down and move with the flow instead of hustle, hustle, hustle. This is how it's done, 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 and it has to be now, now, now. There
Mhm.
is something about grace and space so that we can reclaim our energy, reclaim and be at our most optimal level of service, but optimal ability of openness to connect
Right.
and collaborate and then thrive.
Yeah.
So,
Oh
ah,
gosh,
it
absolutely.
felt so, so, so good. So, well, I'm trying to think, my friend. I mean, like we said, we could do this forever. I'd like to let people know that tomorrow, what we got there?
Oh, I
Would
do
you
also have a
please?
card. I
Yes.
normally, I mean, we're still also streaming on the other platforms, and so I
Yes,
do like to
please.
pull a card just to get people to think about, let's see how I can do this so that
Yeah,
I'm
can you
showing
let me see if you
everybody. Let's see.
you're like, "Which
Um,
camera? Which camera?"
yeah.
We can explain,
Well,
I
I
guess,
have 'em I
both.
have 'em pretty well aligned,
You're
so
so
it's
good.
not as big on the wait, maybe if I just do me. I'm trying to curve it too so my camera doesn't pick up the
Y'all, we're in
light.
for a treat because when Mel pulls cards, it's like it's good stuff.
Okay, there's that.
Okay.
All right. So let's
Mm.
see. So tell me what you're seeing first. I
Yes,
like
and if
to have
anyone's looking at this as well, please drop in the chat something you're noticing. At first, I thought this warrior woman was actually caged.
Mhm,
My first thought was that she felt trapped and caged, but now I'm actually thinking that she's ready and she's preparing. She's
mhm,
poised for protectiveness and to defend, but also that she's actually on the offensive instead of the defensive. Um, she feels really strong to me, strong and
mhm,
powerful. Um, I noticed the
yeah,
colors as well.
mhm,
There's like light and warm and almost fire-like behind
mhm,
her. I'm curious about, yeah, the staffs or the sticks, um, pillars around her.
mhm.
It is the 9 of
9 of Wands.
9 of Wands. Wands.
Mhm.
Mm, okay, okay.
Yeah.
If anyone
Yeah.
else is listening or watching and has some impressions, please let us know in the chat. Yeah, I there's a few things, but I'm really drawn to the coloring, the colors, the hues of it all.
Mhm.
Obviously, I notice or maybe it's not obvious. I should never say obviously because maybe it's not obvious to everybody. But of
Yeah.
course, I noticed the pentacles, the star at the bottom on the ground there.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So So yeah, so this is like I said, this is the Nine of Wands, and this card always feels and I don't know how well you can see it, especially on this on Instagram's camera.
That works, what you're doing now.
Mhm.
Yeah, for Instagram.
But it definitely it always feels pretty frantic, frenetic. Frenetic is a
Frenetic.
better
That
word that
is
I
one of
want to
my
use
favorite
here.
words right now.
Um, she feels very anxious. She feels like I have to defend myself
Mhm.
from every possible thing that's happening here.
Mm.
And you probably can't see it well, but there's looks like little spiders down here at the
I
bottom
was wondering
and
what those were, but I wasn't sure if it was
mhm.
just my eyes, if they were rocks, but they're
Yeah,
spiders.
no. And so
Okay.
this card, wands are action, the suit of action. So it is about doing something, right? Feeling like I need to be doing something. And,
Gaining action.
nines are that like near completion, right? So almost kind of again like this full moon energy building to this point. Um, and to me, this nine of wands always feels like almost like a warning, almost a
Mhm.
warning, like, okay, you're almost there. When you're almost there, that energy that comes up of like, maybe I'm not doing this right. Maybe it's not going to be good enough. Maybe. And, what if someone comes to tear me down? What if, all of these things that pop up and
What ifs.
especially right now that with this, Scorpio energy, thinking about the things you've been building towards, right?
Yes.
And we're trying to get in this mode of slowing down a little bit and recognizing what we need to be that's actually aligned with us. And so for me, this feels like what may come up for many of you is well, I can't slow down. Somebody might take what
Right,
I've been doing,
right.
right?
The
I can't slow
scarcity.
down because then I'm never going to get moving again,
That's
right?
right.
I can't question the people in my life, because maybe then they'll want to leave, you know? And so
Mm,
there are all these things that may be coming up for you right now when
mm,
you recognize that you and your sanity is more important than anything else.
mhm.
There's a very good likelihood that your mind is going to start spinning crazily. And, again, Scorpio, that deep, intense, like, oh, what does this really mean? All of that is likely to come up and make you feel on edge, make you feel like, oh, I can't really think about me because uh, of all these things that I just mentioned. And knowing that, right? If we're telling you right now, like, yes, that's a likelihood that that's going to come up for you, just know that. So that when it happens, you can say, oh, you know what? I see you, Nine of Wands. I see you over
Yeah,
there.
yeah.
But I knew you were coming, and so let me stop it. Let me stop lying to myself right now, right? I say that to people a lot. Stop lying to yourself because it's not true what you're making up, and sit with that for a minute, right? Taurus energy, sit with that and see what that really is. See why you're feeling out of alignment with that.
I love this
Yeah.
because, like I said, there's almost when looking at the card, there's
Mhm.
almost this intentionality. Like I said, at first I thought, oh, she feels caged.
Mhm.
She feels agitated, like she's ready and frenetic. You'd said the word, one of my favorite words, by
Mhm.
the way. You and I have such a love for words. It's pretty fun.
Mhm.
Um, but I also saw that, wait, no, this can be actually intentional. This can
Mhm.
be in preparation. She's like, "I see and I feel this onslaught. Things are
Mhm.
coming at me, things are coming for me, and the almost there. We're almost completed with the 9."
Mhm.
I like that she's like, "And I can be a part of that. I
Yeah.
can deliberately choose to see how I'm going to meet these challenges."
Mhm.
And that might even mean, like, I'm going to plan to rest. I'm going to plan
Absolutely.
to slow down. Right? So, oh gosh, that's so good. It's
Absolutely.
the cards usually they're not wrong.
I mean, no, they're not wrong, and, it's funny, I won't make us go into this, but this is under what's underneath that. is the magician.
Oh, well, of
So
course.
just as an aside for anyone who gets caught up in this, like, but what if I stop and the world starts
The
to fall apart
magician.
and that's all a lie, because the reality is underneath it all, like, you've got everything. You've got every single thing that you need to be amazing, to be wonderful, if you can just get out of your own way.
Oh my god, and what did we say to open up this entire conversation today, my friend, which is
Yeah,
we already have this. This is already within. We don't have to keep reaching outward,
yeah,
externally for any sort of validation or any sort of answers when we actually have it all. We have the wisdom, we have the magic right here.
yeah. Yep, yep, absolutely. So, yay!
Yay! So
I love
good,
it.
friend.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for inviting me to join you in
Yes.
this incredible crossover, which I know is just a start. I love working with you. I love having conversations with you.
Yes, me too. Thank you so much, and I appreciate you sharing your Scorpio energy, with my crew as well. And
Yeah.
yeah, I think for everyone, for every single person who sees this, just knowing that there are people out there who want to see you successful, who want to do things with you, just ask. Just say, "Hey, how would this work for you? What's the worst that can happen?" They say, "No, no, thanks." Okay. Well, guess what? Find somebody else then.
Yeah. It really is about the right match, energetic match for
Yeah.
right now, but that doesn't mean it's not
No.
again that it won't happen maybe in the future. It's
Yes.
just for right now.
Yeah.
Right
Yep.
now. Let's see what's
Yep.
going on right now.
That's right. Yes. Thank you so much, my love. I
Thank
love
you,
being with
my
you.
love. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and say goodbye to folks here on Instagram. Thank you for hanging out with
Okay.
us. We've got some applause from folks. Thank you, thank you,
Yay.
thank you. You
Thank you
can
so
check the
much for
replay.
being here. Yes. And
Yes,
thanks everybody still hanging out with us over on Facebook
that's right.
and LinkedIn and all the other places,
All
the
the
groups
places that
that
we are.
we're hanging out over there. So definitely connect
Yes.
with either one of us if you've got more questions or anything else too.
Yes, 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 yes. So Mel and I are around. Oh, we should say one more thing, Mel.
Yeah, please.
We are here. We do our live tomorrow for Magical
Tomorrow night.
Cartographers.
Imagine all the things live will be tomorrow night. And if you are seeing this and you have never joined us live,
So fun.
tomorrow, I mean, it's always fun. This is
Tomorrow's gonna
our
be
this
special.
is our fun episode tomorrow. So you're gonna wanna show up. You might wanna have a cocktail with you. It's gonna be very fun.
Just saying.
So, yeah.
It's gonna be great. Okay.
Yes.
Thanks,
All right, love.
everybody.
Bye, everybody.